Hi everyone, I'm Deborah Koslick and welcome to Creating Your Memories. I'm a Creative Memories Independent Advisor from Australia. Today I want to share with you a technique that I did with the Jumbo Circle and the Cloud Punch. So as you can see, I've made a double page layout from that, and the papers I will be using today are from Painted Garden. So I've chosen two of the tonal tone papers and I'm going to be using that as my base, and I'm going to be using this nice pretty pinky apricot color for my photos mat, and then I have the gorgeous flowers with the bees and the ladybugs on, and on the reverse it's just that beautiful purpley color, and I will use that to punch out my cloud punch. So to get started, you need to choose your paper that you wish to cut your jumbo circle out on, and as I've said, I've chosen this one here. So now that I've chosen my paper, I have my jumbo circle. I also need to bring out my 13 by 13 inch cutting mat to cut with the jumbo circle. So what I'm going to do is, to start off with, I'm going to position this circle on my page, so like centering it in the middle. So I've got even sides, and then I'm going to cut on the outside and the inside with the red blade. So I'm going to do the inside first. And now I'm going to cut on the outside with the red blade. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to remove all my pieces. So I'm just going to set them aside. We're not going to be using the outside, but I will show you a way that you can use that outer bit that we just cut the jumbo circle from, but we will be using these two pieces here. So it's up to you which side you would like to use it on. If you wish to have, you know, the printed flower for the outside, or you want just the plain for the middle, but I think I'm going to be using it this way. So the next thing that I'm going to be doing is putting this ring aside because we don't need that right now. So I'm going to be getting my cloud punch, and I'm just going to punch. So I'm not going to be marking anywhere where I'm going to, punch precisely or anything like that. I'm just going to be turning my punch upside down, as you can see, just like this, and then I'm going to punch. So to do my first punch, I'm going to try to stay close to this edge, but also give it, I don't know, maybe 1/8 to 1/4, depending on how big you want your circle. But I think I'm going to be giving it about that width, and then I'll punch. And then as I'm moving it around, you're going to have, it's not going to line up completely, but you're going to have a gap. So you want to line it up as much as you can, or leaving it just a little bit with a gap, and you're going to have like a triangle effect, but you can easily trim that up and make it all match out. So that was my second punch. So you're going to have little tags like that as you go around. But if you position it around the same length around, you should get a perfect punch going around your whole circle. So I'm just going to continue that same technique as I'm going around the circle. So I'm just lining it up and punching. So we're going to go back and I'm going to show you how to trim up those little edges so it all matches in nicely so you complete that layout. So I'm just continuing around punching until we get right to the next point. So as you can see, I've got those little triangle bits that I can trim off with my micro tip scissors. And also using the Cloud Punch, it gives it a nice edging with this beautiful floral paper. So now that I'm coming to my last bit, I want to try and center it in the middle of either point so I get a nice cut. So now that I've done that, I'm going to bring in my multi-purpose scissors now, and I'm just going to trim them off so they all match in, curving it down the bottom. So it all looks the same. I mean, some little bits might be a little bit wider than others, but once you put this layout down on your base layout, you're not going to notice the difference. So I'm just curving that around. So I've got a nice edging. On some of these I probably could have gone a little bit closer, but as I said, it doesn't really matter. But as long as you get a complete hole punch right at the end, so it's not going to look odd. But if you don't get that, like that nice last punch at the end, you could always still use it. I mean, sometimes it takes a little bit of a practice to get it correctly, but if you do, you know, your last punch doesn't end up like a normal punch, you can always cover that up with a photo or some embellishments. So as you can see, now putting that cloud punch around that circle, and I've still got all these nice little, you know, I've still got the bird, the bees, and the lady beetle in the middle there. So I'm just going to remove all this confetti, and we don't need the cloud punch anymore. So I've got that piece there. So now I'm going to bring in my base pages. So when we do this, I got my base pages, and I want to center this in the middle. So as I done on the previously one, I've got more on one side and less on the other. So it's a matter of you working out how much you want on one side of your 12 by 12 designer paper to your other side of your designer paper. So if I'm lining up this correctly, and I'm just taking in account with, you know, the bee and the lady beetle, so I've got it nicely on either side. So I think I might do it around there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a pencil now, and I'm just going to mark the bottom, and also making sure that your base pages are lined up together and here, so I know that I want this half and that half. And then also doing the same with your outer piece of paper, just marking it so you get that nice cut. So as I was saying before, when we cut out our circles, about using, you know, the outer piece, if you want to, you can also place this outer piece onto your layout. So I'm just positioning that correctly. So as you can see, you can use all the pieces, that way you've got no waste. But I'm just going to be using the 2 bits that I cut out with the jumbo circle. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer now, and then I'm going to trim those bits where I place my pencil linings. Now that I've moved that, I just got to find where they are. So we have one there, and okay, so we've got and now we're going to adhere our middle circles together on our base pages. So I've done the first one, and it's roughly about 2 inches, so like in the middle of your designer paper. So you just want to center it in the middle. So, and I'm also using the repositional tape. So I'm just going to put it around on these delicate edges. So I'm just going to match it from the opposite side. So making sure that our pages, base pages are together, and then matching your cut lines from the top to the bottom. Oops. And then adhere that down. So now I'm going to be doing the smaller circle. Again, I'm just going to be using the repositional tape, and I'm just going to center that in the middle, so it's got even distance from, you know, our cloud punch to the outside. So doing that and that side. So now putting my base pages back together. So now I get my bigger piece, again using the repositional tape, so if I need to remove that I can. So just lining up your pages together and then placing that down. So you more or less want it the same. And with using the repositional tape, it's easy to adjust once you get them centered correctly. So that was an easy process, so I can push that down now. So as you can see, with my double page layout now, that makes a nice little centerpiece. So with those pencil linings that we did earlier, you just need to, you know, use your rubber or your eraser and just rub them away. I can't see the pencil linings in my floral piece because it's a little bit darker. But as I said before, you can use, you know, like this piece if you wish to. So I've got mine up a little bit more, but that's okay. But when I did, you know, I did a nice little edge in because it seemed to be a little bit bare. And on this one, I think I put it down a little bit lower. So I'm thinking maybe even if I turn that, but then my bees and everything are upside down. So I'm just going to leave that. So now that I've done that, I'm going to cut my photo mats. And when I did my photo mats, I cut my photos down. So I did my photos mats just the standard 4x6, and then just trim the photos down to 3 3/4 3/4 by 5 3/4. So that way I wasn't wasting, you know, enormous amount of designer paper, because it's very pretty paper. So now that I've cut them 4 by 12, I'm going to cut them in half, and that will give me 2 4 by 6 photo mats. So then I'm just going to trim the next one. So on this layout, just going back looking at it, I think I had a 4 by 4. So I'm just going to trim a 4 by 4 and a 4 by 4. So then what I did was I had, just moving that down, I had one going landscape, one going horizontal, and then I had one going horizontal, and then a 4 by 4. Because you got one side bigger than the other, you're not going to be able to fit that landscape one on unless you went over your circle a bit. So that's optional if you would like to do that. And I just more or less did a 4 by 4, a 4 by 6, and then I did a 4 by 4 in the middle. Actually, I think it might have been a little bit smaller. So let me just check that. Oh no, it's a 4 by 4. So you can also put a 4 by 4 in the middle there if you like, or if you like that design, you can just leave that open as it is, which I really like that. So I don't think I want to cover it up, but we'll see how we go. So at the moment I have got 4 photos on there, but then, you know, you can add a few more if you like. But there's my standard 4 photos, and as I said, I had one in the middle here. So I had that closer to the edge, or if I might put one in there, I might cut that down a little bit more and then just put a smaller photo in the middle. So there we have the base of layout, and then I ended up using this, and I cut 1/4 inch strips off that, but I think I might use a different color. So I'm just going to go through my tone on tones and see what I have in here. See what matches nicely. I like the green. That green would look nice on the outside, I think. And the yellow. So I'm just going to cut a 1/4 strip of the green. Just see what it looks like. And I had a 1/4 inch strip here, so it does make it look a little like difference in your layout. So I'm going to cut 3 more of those, so you need 4 altogether. And then 1 more. And I just had them positioned on the outside, like so. And then on the other one I had exactly the same. So I had one at the top and one down the side. So as you can see, this layout is coming together very quickly. So, you know, like once I've done that, oops, I would hear all this down a little bit later just to save a little bit time, so you know what I did on my other layout. So bringing that one back in again, with the paper choices that I actually did my sample on, there was no stickers or embellishment, so I just adapted and I've used the butterfly punch, and I've used our, you know, like our titles that we have in our laser cuts, and I used the 5-leaf punch as well, and I also incorporated that, and I used, you know, our CCS, you know, circles, the small, and I think it was the medium one that I used, and I've made some of our shutter flowers, like the shutter look is where I got it from, is the shutter look of our CM, and I've made a flower from that, and I'll show you how I did that. So I'm just going to bring in that mat again, and then bring in my circles. So I'm just going to go find some scrap paper. So I'm going to use, I've got some bit of scrap paper here. I've got the so to make that shutter flower, I think I'm going to use this side and try and use the bee. I might do this side first. Make sure I'm not going to chop him off. And then I'm going to use, so this is our medium circle, and I'm going to use the blue blade. So it's just more or less, you know, you're cutting out a standard circle. And bringing in my multi-purpose scissors, and to get that shutter flower, I folded it in half and then chopped a little bit out one side, then the other side, and then folding it again, and then doing exactly the same thing. You can offset them, or you can just have them even on the 4 sides. And then the only thing I did then, I'm just going to fix that up because it's just left a little bit of a white paper showing through. And then all I did then was just done some fussing cut in between each flower. And I did layer, no, I didn't layer a couple. You can layer them if you want to, but I didn't. I just made all mine different sizes. Just going to fix up this white. So then just fussy cutting around your 4 petals. And the last one. And then what I did was I just find one of our little gem buttons in one of the other collections that I had, and I just put in the middle. So, you know, that's just a normal shutter flower, and then I use the 5-leaf punch to give it a leaf look. So now that I'm going to use this bee one, so I'm just going to use my red blade. And with this one, you don't have to cut it into a flower. You could just have that, you know, like sitting underneath, like another little look. So I'm just going to move this out. So that's a simple way of doing a flower. So with this layout, just fix it all back up again. So if I wanted to, I could just have that off the side, and then I could have my flower underneath. Now, Just turn that around a little bit more. And then I can just have my flower, and then I can incorporate and then do some yellow little flowers around the outside. So I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to complete this layout off camera and adhere everything down, and I might see what embellishments or stickers that I can use in the painted garden, and I'll post a photo of my layout on my socials and also at the end of the video so that you can all see my end result. So that's the jumbo circle using our new Cloud Punch, which was released last month. So it's a different design that you can actually use and create a double page layout. If you enjoyed my video today, please give me some love. Please subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment. And until next time, happy scrapping.